Consumer Rights Act 2015. By the end of this short presentation, you should understand the requirements of the new Consumer Rights Act 2015. This has been brought in to replace the Sale of Goods Act. Okay, let's start with the basics. The Consumer Rights Act 2015 came into effect in October 2015, and this replaced legislation such as the Sale of Goods Act, the Unfair Terms in Contracts Regulation, and the Supply of Goods and Services Act. And this tried to put them all into one simple to use piece of legislation. Put simply, this act says that all products still have to be fit for purpose, that's a key word there, as described, and of satisfactory quality. So of course, like before, you have to have items which are fit for purpose, so they do as they're described, and they are satisfactory quality. And of course, satisfactory quality may mean that you need to get an expert opinion or the opinion in general of what quality is. So what's new about this act? Well, you now get 30 days refund. So in fairness, you can actually now reject a damaged or faulty good within 30 days of purchasing that item. You get clear consumer rights over a period of time. So I'm going to explain that in more detail, but it's got very specific set time period. So no longer is it effectively up to which product and which item it is to be decided by a court. It's now got clear guidelines in place on what time frame and what's been determined by this law. Failed repairs. If you allow the item to be repaired, after one failed repair, the consumer can ask for a refund or a price reduction. Consumers can also request another repair at no additional cost. There's no deductions for refunds. In most cases, you can't ask for a deduction to be taken for the first 6 months of usage. If you purchase online content or digital media content, the same rights apply to download and digital content. And of course, unfair terms, which may be in a contract, now have to have prices and obviously clear terms made very clear and expressed to the consumer at the start. There shouldn't be no small print effectively hidden away. It has to be very clear to the consumer what they're agreeing to. And that covers the Unfair Terms and Conditions Act. Okay, what are your consumer rights? Well, now, up to 30 days of purchasing an item, any product which is unfit for purpose, it could be damaged, you can ask for it to be returned for a full refund. That does not apply, though, for purely digital goods, so i.e. digital downloads. You can still ask for a replacement or repair, but obviously you can't have a full refund because you may have used that item already, so there is a clear distinction there. Now, of course, the next time frame that's set in there is up to 6 months. So basically, after 30 days, we're going to the up to 6 months area. Up to 6 months, the retailer has to prove that the fault wasn't present at the time of delivery. So the emphasis is on the retailer and the proof there. The retailer should offer you a repair or replacement. If it's not successful, so the repair they carried out isn't successful, then you, the consumer, has the right to reject that good and ask for a full refund or a price reduction. So you've got to give them a chance to make the repair first. Of course, you could ask them to make another repair if you wish to. The next time frame tends to be 6 months onwards. So after 6 months has gone, you then the consumer has to prove that the item was going to be faulty at time of delivery. Of course, this is typically where you're going to now need the opinion of some form of expert. Now, of course, the UK law still gives the consumer the right to claim for faulty goods up to 6 years. And this is where, of course, the law applies for fit for purpose of satisfactory quality. So you've got to ask, does it do what it should do? Has it been satisfactory quality? Has it carried out the time frame you require? But as you can see, the law has got very clear time frames that are now being implemented. Now, the Supplier Service Act that we were talking about before, if a business supplies a service to a consumer, then the consumer's got the following rights. The trader is going to perform the service with a reasonable skill. So this means if you're employing an electrician, for example, you'd expect him to be qualified. If you're employing a private tutor, you'd expect them to be qualified in that specific area they're going to teach. Information given verbally or written is binding where the consumer is going to rely on it. So effectively, it's going back to what a contract should be, a verbal or written document that communicates it. Clearly, written is much better. If no price has been agreed beforehand, then effectively a reasonable price will be established. So this is going to stop people changing the price midway through a job. Of course, it's going to be very difficult to prove that no price was agreed. So that's why a contract is much better to have. So a written contract agreeing the price is better than trying to argue afterwards. However, it should stop people being taken advantage of when the price is trying to be increased at the end of a period of a job being completed. And of course, the service must be carried out within a reasonable time. Now, of course, the problem here, you'll see that word reasonable. Lawyers love that word reasonable because reasonable can be debated and discussed in many legal circles. I'm not here to try and tell you what reasonable is. That's going to be down to probably expert opinions in courts to decide. However, I think most common sense will be applied at this case because it's typically civil law that we're using in this case. If it's not complied with, then the consumer has a right to ask for the service to be performed again at no additional cost. If they can't perform that service again, then it could be possible to ask for a price reduction. So you can see again, the consumer's got more power now. All of a sudden, they can ask for that job to be redone if they're not happy with it, if those conditions have not been met. And that is a Supplier Service. Now we're going to look at unfair contract terms. Now, it's been claimed that it's now easier for a consumer to challenge unfair contract terms. The key terms of a contract now have to be fair, prominent, transparent. It should also very clearly have a price stated on the contract. Now, of course, again, the legal world is going to love this because they can debate what is fair, what is prominent, what is transparent. It's probably not going to be as easy to debate the price, but they're going to be areas for discussion. So just because they're there doesn't mean this is going to make it that simple because you may still have to look at the legal avenues to pursue to try and chase this. If there is a case that basically this is being breached in a contract, then the consumer probably has got grounds to challenge basically the contract under this area of legislation. Again, it's probably going to end up in a civil court, so you've got to bear that in mind, and civil courts tend to be at your own cost. However, if you probably don't think it's fair, you don't think it's prominent, you don't think it's transparent and it's reasonable, and other people agree with you, maybe an expert, then I would suggest that probably you could win that case based on unfair contract terms. Okay, what I've done there is giving you a quick overview of the law, because obviously we talk about it in business all the time at the Sale of Goods Act, and obviously I wanted to show the new law and the new legislation. Remember, this is my interpretation of the law. I am not an expert in the legal field, and I would expect you to conduct some wider reading into law before taking this as verbatim. This is just a quick informative guide that's been produced from my understanding, and it's for educational purposes. So please don't quote BeeBusinessBee if you're in the small claims court trying to fight your case. But however, I do believe that if you conduct further reading around this, it'll probably enlighten your understanding of this aspect of law. Okay, that's it. Thank you for joining me in this Consumer Rights Act video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. It's at BeeBusinessBee. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, clicking the button below. Like my Facebook page, that's facebook.com/BeeBusinessBee. And don't forget to check out the website. It's BeeBusinessBee.co.uk for a full range of resources and activities. And until next time, keep buzzing.